Church here, right here on the west side of Nashville. We're really what's called in the Richland Community Center. And if you look over here, this is actually used to be called Richland Elementary School, and now it's Richland Head Start. So this is kind of the community that we're in, but I really want to show you something really cool. It is this up here, so hold on just a minute. Noisy up here, but as you can see right here, this is the roof of our church, and it backs us right next to Highway Interstate 40. And as you can see in the distance there, that's downtown Nashville. And this is where we are. We are smack dab in the middle of two communities, and there literally is a bridge that is between both of us. Giving ourselves more exposure to this area here. And so in lieu of it being cold, I'm not going to be able to walk too much in the community, but I will kind of show you what's here. Strangely enough, there's a lot of auto part places in this area. Another thing that I will always realize is that usually in more urban neighborhoods, things are more expensive, like gas. On a different side of town where we live in, it's almost 30 cents cheaper per gallon. Coming up on the left-hand side, you're going to see a pawn shop here, and you're going to see we've got a lot of buy here, pay here auto places, which are really designed to get more money out of people because they can't get traditional financing. There's another auto place there, and then we've got another pawn shop here to your left, another tire place here to your right, another auto place to our left there, another quick cash place here. So this is the type of community that we're in. I really want to show you something that's really kind of an anomaly here, because we just came out of a community that has a lot of check cashing places, a lot of auto places, and so right up here, as we're going to be looking at here shortly, is a community called Nashville West. And if you're familiar with the Nashville area, the Nashville West area is a fairly new shopping area. Here's a Chick-fil-A. My son loves going there, so we're there all the time. But as you can see, maybe out in the distance there's a big shopping center, and that shopping center has everything that people are looking for when they're trying to go shopping. And it's amazing that it's not even 2 miles away from a community that is considered low income. And now, as you can see the sign there, it says Nashville West. This is the community that we're in. Thank you for the ride along. Here I am literally walking the streets of the community that our church is in. And sometimes you can take for granted where God has you planted. And I don't get a lot of time to be able to do this. So I'm really just walking and really meditating on who God really wants us to be to this community. There's plenty of things around here, as you can see across the street. Families live here, and even here, I'll show it to you here. It's a drug and addiction rehabilitation place. These are all opportunities for us to be God's hands and feet, and to be quite honest with you, I feel the pressure of God for us to be able to reach out to these communities. One of the things that we have in this community is a disproportionate number of check cashing places, which you only see these in low income areas. You don't see these in mid to high income areas. And because I do spend time in the banking industry, I understand how insidious this is, that you can give people fair rates, but you take advantage of individuals that don't have much money, and you place them in a downward spiral of financial crisis. And so as I'm walking here, I can see three that are within a block or two of each other, which means there's a great work to be done as far as financial education and getting people to live within their means and budget. So that's something that it heavily weighs upon my heart. I did have an opportunity to interview somebody in the neighborhood that's been there 9 years, and I asked them a couple questions. And one of the questions that I asked the gentleman and his wife that have lived there, right there in the community, actually right across the street from the church, I asked them, "What do you think the biggest challenge for the community is right now?" And he began to tell me how the low income aspect of the community and how the community is starting to change, and those who don't make a lot of money, who are categorized as low income, will find it difficult to stay in that community. And I said, "Well, what do you think? How do you think that's going to play out?" And he says, "Well, with all the jobs and everything coming here, and all the cost of living beginning to raise, the average Joe will not be able to stay in this particular community." And I said, "Well, that's something that we had not really known about because we don't necessarily live on that side of town." Then I began to ask him, what is it that he thinks that the church should be in the community? And he told me that the church should be a place for help. And he says, well, people need food and people need clothing, the basic needs. The church should be able to step in and be able to help with that. And I began to think about the church and who God has called the church to be, and really, is that all the church needs to be? Because throughout the entire interview, I really didn't hear anything about the spiritual aspect of what the church can bring. I'm sure if I had more time to interview more people, I'm sure that would have come up on someone's radar. But it's nice to know that some people have an idea of what the church is supposed to be. But we have a more solid biblical foundation. Know that we just can't give people what they need to fulfill their needs, because that need will continue to be there, when the greatest need that any human being will ever have is what will happen to them once they leave this place. And so it was great interaction. We had a great time talking. I had a great time talking with the gentleman and his wife, and it's always great to hear a different perspective of a community that someone actually lives in.